Want to keep up with the latest LEGO Maker 96.1 videos? Make sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Hello everyone, LEGO Maker 96.1 here with another video. And welcome back to another On This Day in History. It was on this day in history, on October 13th, 1775, the U.S. Navy was created. Now back then, it was known as the Continental Navy. And the current one we see today was formed on March 27th, 1794, during George Washington's presidency. Now, as I said, the U.S. Navy's roots can be traced back to the Continental Navy, because when the Revolution ended in 1783, the Continental Navy was disbanded. But when the Navy was reorganized into the U.S. Navy, it began to evolve over the years, having served in various conflicts throughout history. Now, here's another fact that you didn't know. The U.S. Marines, the U.S. Army, and the U.S. Navy, they were all created here in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia to be more precise. Though here's another fact you didn't know about me. And this is completely true, and I did cover this in my On This Day in History video on D-Day. I actually had relatives that fought during World War II, and one of the relatives that I had was in the Navy. He was a gunner's mate third class on board the USS Atlanta. He was killed in action during the naval battle of Guadalcanal, and his body was never recovered. It's actually completely true. I actually had a relative on board for the USS Atlanta. He was a gunner's mate third class on board the USS Atlanta. He was killed in action, and his body was never recovered. So here's to you, my great-great-uncle. Rest well, buddy. And I did talk about the Civil War a lot on my channel, haven't I? Well, back then, the U.S. Navy, before we had these big, tall metal ships, we had these wooden ships with the tall riggings and the sails. But over time, like the Army, they began to evolve, because somehow technology came into being. Now, this was before we had computers and cell phones and radar and all that stuff. The Navy began to evolve. They began to branch away from wooden ships to metal ones, because during the Battle of during the Battle of Hampton Roads, we were introduced to ironclad ships. This includes the Monitor and the CSS Virginia, originally a wooden vessel called the USS Merrimack. And thus, the age of the wooden ship died there at Hampton Roads, and the U.S. Navy, as well as the Confederate Navy, was building metal ships. But when the Civil War ended in 1865, the Confederate Army, the Confederate Marines, and the Confederate Navy was disbanded. It was gone. No more. But somehow the Navy continued to evolve. Oh, and cutting back to the Civil War real quick, there was a vessel called the Hunley. Now, the Hunley was a Confederate submarine. And yes, an actual submarine. True fact. And I forgot to mention it in my On This Day in History video because I was busy at the time and I forgot to do it. So next time when that anniversary comes up, I'll do that. So keep a weather eye out for that. And as I'm recording this, today is the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Navy. So here's to you, Navy. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And this concludes today's video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like this, including many other videos that I've done on my channel, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell notifications so that way you can be notified when I upload the next video. And as always, this is LEGO Mecha 961 signing off.